Ever thought about steering your career in a totally different direction? Ever considered truck driving? It's an unusual path, sure, but there's something undeniably appealing about it. Picture this: the freedom of the open road, the hum of the engine, the ever-changing landscapes. It's you, four wheels, and a cargo that keeps the economy chugging along. It's an adventure, a responsibility, and a profession all rolled into one. But it's not just about the romantic allure of the highway. Truck driving is also about seeing new places, meeting new people, and playing an essential role in the economy. Each day, truckers transport millions of goods from point A to point B, making sure that businesses run smoothly and that people get what they need. It's a job with purpose, with tangible results. But before you jump in the cab, let's dig into some facts and figures about this industry. So, the open road calls to you. But what does a life on the road really entail? Let's start with the dollars and cents. The average salary of a truck driver in the United States is around $50,000 per year. Now, that might sound decent on the surface, but let's dig a little deeper. This figure doesn't account for the many hours truck drivers spend on the road, away from their families, often for weeks at a time. And these aren't your typical 9 to 5 hours. No, these are long, grueling hours, often through the night and in adverse weather conditions. Now let's talk about the work that doesn't get paid. Loading and unloading cargo, for instance. This is time-consuming work that is often not compensated. Yet it's a critical part of the job, and it raises a valid question. If warehouse employees are paid for their time loading and unloading trucks, why aren't truck drivers? Living on the road presents its own set of challenges. Truck drivers often live in their cabs for days, weeks, even months at a time. These aren't spacious, comfortable living quarters. They're small, cramped spaces that serve as bedroom, kitchen, and office. It's a lifestyle that requires a certain level of adaptability and resilience. And let's not forget the time spent waiting for the clock to restart. This is time that could be spent at home with family or pursuing hobbies or simply resting. But instead it's spent in the cab, often in a truck stop or a parking lot, waiting for the next job to start. The trucking lifestyle is certainly unique. It's a life of freedom and independence, of seeing new places and meeting new people. But it's also a life of long hours, tough conditions, and time away from loved ones. It's a life that requires sacrifice, determination, and a certain level of grit. The trucking lifestyle is certainly unique. But is it for you? Here's something to ponder. Do you think truck drivers need more than just driving skills? Let's take a moment to dive into the educational aspect of this profession. It's a common misconception that truck driving is a simple job, requiring little more than the ability to steer a big rig. However, the reality is far more complex. Many truck drivers struggle with basic math skills. This is a significant issue because drivers need to understand weight distribution, fuel consumption, and time management. Inability to calculate these factors can lead to inefficiency, increased costs, and even dangerous situations on the road. Language comprehension, specifically English, is another area where some drivers fall short. A prime example of this is the tragic accident that occurred in Colorado. The driver involved was unable to comprehend the road signs indicating a runaway ramp, resulting in a fatal crash. This incident raises a critical question. Why was he and others like him licensed in the first place? This brings us to the role of governing bodies like the Department of Transportation and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Their function is to ensure the competence of drivers. However, there seems to be a disconnect. Large trucking companies continue to employ drivers who may lack the necessary skills, leading to questions about the effectiveness of these regulatory bodies. We need to consider the potential implications of this skills gap on the safety of our roads. If a driver cannot understand road signs or calculate their vehicle's weight distribution, the risk of accidents increases dramatically. This is not just a matter of industry efficiency, it's a matter of public safety. So why is this happening? Why are less competent individuals allowed to drive 80,000-pound vehicles on our roads? These questions need to be addressed urgently to ensure that our roads are safe and that the trucking industry can continue to play its vital role in our economy. So, there's more than meets the eye when it comes to being a truck driver. Let's talk money. How well does the trucking industry compensate its drivers? In the world of trucking, compensation can often feel like a complex puzzle. Most companies don't pay by the hour unless they're local outfits. Instead, they offer pay by the mile. This seems fair on the surface, after all. You're being paid for the work you're doing, right? But let's dig a bit deeper. Consider that as a driver, your work doesn't end when the wheels stop turning. Loading, unloading, waiting for a restart, these are all part of the job. But are they part of the compensation? In most cases, they're not. Then there's the concept of per diem, a daily allowance that some might think of as compensation for being on the road. But it's not quite that simple. Most often, it's not the company paying a driver per diem. Instead, it's the driver being taxed at a lesser amount. So the company isn't really paying you for your time on the road, they're just reducing your tax burden. Now let's think about part-time drivers. Many might be drawn to the flexibility of part-time work. But here's the catch. In an industry where compensation is often tied to the number of miles driven, part-time drivers may find their earnings significantly reduced. What about lodging? Well, drivers are often stuck in their trucks, waiting for their clocks to restart. No hotel, no home comforts, just a cab and a ticking clock. And yet, this time isn't factored into their pay. So as we pull back the curtain on compensation in the trucking industry, it becomes clear that the issue is far from straightforward. There are challenges and complexities that need to be addressed. The reality is, trucking isn't a job you clock in and out of. It's a lifestyle, and that lifestyle needs to be adequately compensated. North of $130,000 annually with acceptable time off as well. It's clear that compensation is a complex issue in the trucking industry. So, with all these facts and figures, what's your take on truck driving as a career? It's a question that demands some serious thought. Let's not gloss over the reality. The trucking industry, as it stands today, is a complex web of challenges and rewards, pros and cons, and a career path that requires resilience and grit. On one hand, there's the allure of the open road, the independence, the sense of adventure. On the other, there's the harsh truth of long hours, the solitude, and the time away from family. And let's not shy away from the elephant in the room, the compensation and proper retirement plan. Drivers aren't paid for the time spent loading or unloading, pre- and post-trip inspections, time wasted at the DOT wait stations, or when they are being escorted off the highway for inspections, just because some inspectors have a quota and a deadline for it, nor for the time spent waiting for their clock to restart. And while some may argue that warehouse employees face similar challenges, it's important to remember that truck drivers are the backbone of our economy. They're the ones ensuring goods get from point A to point B, often sacrificing their comfort and personal time, while being treated like second-class citizens. As we've discussed, there's a significant skills gap in the industry. A large number of drivers lack basic math skills or English comprehension, leading to situations like the tragic accident in Colorado. This raises serious questions about the licensing process and the competence of the drivers on the road. It's no surprise then that many intelligent, skilled individuals are seeking opportunities elsewhere, leaving a void that's being filled by immigrants and individuals who may lack the necessary skills or education. This trend is not just concerning, it's downright alarming. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's room for change, for improvement. The industry can evolve, can adapt. It can offer better compensation, improved working conditions, and more stringent licensing requirements. And that's where you come in. It's your decision, your choice. Do you see the challenges as insurmountable or as opportunities for change? Do you see the problems or the potential solutions? Now that you've got the facts, we want to hear your thoughts. Would you consider a career in truck driving? So here's the million-dollar question. Would you swap your job for a driver's seat? As we delve into the discussion about truck driving as a career, it's vital to consider the challenges it brings. Long hours on the road, prolonged family separation with inadequate compensation, and governing bodies are mostly out not to protect you, but to make a profit at your expense. Is this a journey you're willing to embark on? What factors pulling you towards or pushing you away from this profession? For those who are already drivers, what strategies do you employ to tackle these hurdles? What are the compensations that make this job worthy for you? For those contemplating this career, have you thought about the potential obstacles? What would boost your confidence in this career choice? We are keen to understand perspectives, apprehensions, aspirations, and personal experiences. If you share your thoughts in the comments section, it will assist us in creating content that is more relevant and beneficial. It will also offer invaluable insights to others considering a similar career path. Remember, your career choice is a big decision. So take your time, weigh your options, and let us know what you think. We're all ears.